All right, everybody, it's finally time. We are here for our upper bracket finals, Navi versus Mineski. We know what side the crowd's on. We've heard from our panel. Dan, you're the man I want to hear from now. What do you make of the draft? And at the end, hit me with a prediction.
I think it's a really well-balanced draft by Mineski because, as the panel said, they were left guessing with that last pick, Tiny. You know, what are they going to do? How are they going to lane this? Throughout the the Mumbai ESL One.
That's more like it.
Exactly. They've run it on KP and they've run it on Febby. They've yet to run it on Moon, and now that's what they're doing, running it through this mid lane. So Navi might have picked that Monkey King in response to something a little different that Mineski had done in the past. So we'll have to see if it works out for them, as KP has picked up the Razor. Again, something else that hasn't been done by Mineski so far this tournament. It's really been run in that mid lane for them. So with that being said, I think Mineski have gone a little bit more of the mind games for this game one. Granted, it is a BO3 series, but I think they'll be able to take it out.
Yeah. So it seems like they're deprioritizing the Razor in this situation. Right? Well, why do you think that is? Is it because they think the Razor has bad matchups here, or is it just because they want the Tiny to have an amazing game?
I think it's a bit of both, and you can just see the way that they're laning it, right? You've got KP in this top lane, so he's going to be contesting against the Doom. It's very, very hard for Doom to get a whole lot done. You know, obviously you're going to get some sort of gold with your Devour, some sort of experience just by being there, but if you've got someone static linking you, you're not going to be able to contest for those last hits very easily.
Yeah, so they should have been able to figure this out pretty quickly, at least after the draft finished and they saw who picked up what. Mineski don't exactly swap their lanes around too much, but as you can see, KP already going to go in towards Blizzy. He does have the Windlace already picked up, so able to actually stay on top of him pretty well, and Blizzy just going to TP over to the tier 1 tower, already having taken a bunch of damage.
Absolutely. I wonder if we'll see any of the supports now from Mineski rotate through to this top lane, because if they're able to get a kill onto this Doom now, then he has to walk all that long way back towards the lane.
Yeah. Does the Razor need any help up here?
I don't think so. I think he's very capable of being on his own, and they might just want to prioritize Crystallize a little bit more, putting a bit of harass onto him.
And it looks like instead we are actually going to have Chu rotating down to bottom, as we now have a full tri-lane versus tri-lane. This isn't something that we necessarily see a ton of in Dota these days. I feel like aggro tri-lanes have kind of gone out of fashion a little bit.
Yep.
But they still want to run it down here on Navi, and they do have two really good tri-lane versus tri-lane supports.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing how Febby goes about this, because where is as we speak of that, they're going in on the Jakiro.
I think it's just pressure. They're just forcing regen, preventing any pulls. They have already blocked up the small camp, so it looks like they're going to continue to just disallow this side pull, though they kind of got it anyway. Looks like the Radiant Creep's getting pulled in there, and Crystallize manning up a bit, but does need to be somewhat careful. The Metamorphosis is being popped. This is a lot of damage. He skills up the Boundless Strike just to try and survive, but Mineski's still running him down. They need one more touch in the trees. Febby's looking for him, but he gets slowed down by the Dual Breath, and Crystallize will end up surviving, though it costs him a skill point to do so, and his salve now getting cancelled, unfortunately.
Yeah, just a little bit off with the Mischief timing there, so could have potentially made it a little bit
It would have got
more.
purged anyway, right? Even if he dodged the damage?
Yeah, but he would have taken at least a little bit less damage.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, not so great. Mid lane going okay. The really scary thing about having the tri-lane versus tri-lane, especially with the mid-tiny, is that your supports are going to end up being a kind of low level, right? It's coming out of the laning stage. And that's where the tiny could just be running around and farming the Shadow Shaman and the Jakiro nonstop.
Yeah, absolutely. But that becomes a little bit more difficult for them as the game moves on. Again, they're just looking to be very, very aggressive here on Mineski. Febby has been very impressive in these team fights, but I feel like his laning is the one thing that kind of lets him down a little bit. So in this tri-lane v tri-lane matchup, we'll have to see how he fares.
He has had some impressive and some unimpressive team fights in this event. We've had a few Echo Slams that, even by Febby's own admission, he feels like they weren't so great. We'll have to see how he does here.
Bit of a whiff.
Yeah. It happens sometimes. You just got to be. I think it's promising that he's able to just kind of shrug it off, make light of it. Kyle was even talking about it, that it's a benefit for Mineski here, or at least especially for Febby. There's not a lot of pressure on him, really.
Absolutely.
A bit of pressure onto Ajit, though, so they will get those stacks up, but unfortunately they immediately get purged off of Crystallize. Probably not something that they really considered when they picked the Monkey King in this situation, is that the Oracle is a very strong hero against it in lane, both the disarm and the Purge.
Absolutely, as well as just being able to purge your own team.
Yeah, they're going on to the Jakiro here. Can they actually do anything to help him out? They do get the shackles out. They're healing him a little bit. They haven't quite brought him down. And it is actually going to be first blood going back the other way. Ajit a little bit out of position, and he gets brought down. Febby now also being chased. Nothing that Boogie can really do. Febby does try for the stun. Nice dodge from Crystallize, and they will secure themselves a secondary kill. Na'Vi fighting back on this bottom lane.
Absolutely. What a great start for them, particularly because later on, right, we talked about this Nyx a lot and how it denies so many heroes and what they're able to do.
Yeah.
Na'Vi have to be very careful of how they go about this with the Doom, with the Shadow Shaman, with the Monkey King, with the Jakiro, and the Medusa.
Blizzy is the Pied Piper at the moment.
Yeah,
he's
just
got all
lead
these
creeps around on their merry way.
Okay, Magical not even going to try and pick up that rune, just immediately denies it, and a bit of a fight happening over here in the river. The Monkey King not going to be involved. They do get the stun out over onto the Shadow Shaman. He's got boots, a Fairy Fire, and some stick charges. Makes it up onto the high ground. He'll be okay.
I really don't know about this. I mean, they're giving the Monkey King a lot of time to farm just on his own. You know, if these supports are off and they're dragging 3 heroes on Mineski away, that's a lot of solo experience going to Crystallize and none going to Mineski.
Yeah. Where is this Jakiro heading? Is he just running to the tower to get his mana back? Okay, so Misha, they kind of saw that this happening, but nobody on Mineski going to bother rotating. And this might give them a slight advantage in this 5-minute bounty rune battle. Looks like mostly bottom lane going to be contested. Chu doesn't want to fight the Dire heroes, so just going to head over to the Dire bounty.
Yeah, and I really liked the decision for Chu to actually rotate down to that bot lane, right? It was essentially a quote-unquote losing lane for them. Oh, actually, going on to Chu now.
Yeah, got some pressure on him. He tried to run back over towards the rest of his team. Crystallize now getting involved, though, so looks like it might be at least a little bit of a trade. And Chu actually surviving. Boogie gets brought down. They didn't have the Terrorblade over here. They needed another core, and Ajit was just off farming. So yet another kill for Na'Vi, and losing lane in quotes for the Doom, but he's just been backlaning. And Blizzy doing just fine, though. May have overstepped it a little bit here. Boogie rotating up and grabbing a free 500 gold for that kill.
Yeah, it's some great value for your position 5. I think he's bought up some boots straight away, and that should be ferried out to him very shortly.
Radiant are scanning.
Yeah, the Doom among the top net worth heroes at that point in the game, so very, very nice pickup. And fairly slow laning stage, lots of farming. The Tiny is doing quite well on the mid lane, gotta say. 34 and 16 up against the 26 and 4 of the Dusa.
Yeah, Tiny's actually leading the net worth chart right now, about 500 ahead of this Dusa. Something you do need to be a little bit mindful of, but of course, Dusa comes online a little bit later. You're kind of forced into an earlier BKB if they were wanting to push this high ground in an earlier stage, right? Because that split shot, it's changed, right? You can't toggle it off anymore. So if you've got that Nyx Assassin, you just stand in a team fight, pop your E, and then you just get stunned, and it's an easy follow-up.
Free follow-up. Yeah, they were talking about that for the Doom, but exactly the same situation for the Dusa. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the Dusa build this game. Are we just going to be seeing, is it an early Manta? We've seen people building SNY a little bit.
The way that Na'Vi tend to build it is they go the SNY very early on just to secure that farming potential. They got on a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little bit of harassment. KP's actually a pretty high level, thinking about getting involved, but they do need to give Blizzy a bit of respect.
Yeah.
And they've also got that ward scouting the rotation from the Jakiro, so they know exactly what's going on. They know that they forced the TP, and now it looks like they're actually just going to go and look for something elsewhere, because they know that those supports are actually stuck on the top lane somewhat.
Yeah, so going back to the Dusa, I think they're going to be playing for a bit more of the late game, just trying to deny as much of the aggression coming up from Mineski as possible. We can see, jungling here, trying to get a little bit more farm for himself and free up the other lanes for the rest of his team. But I think the butterfly is something that you need to do, because
at some point
the Terrorblade, it's obviously very, very effective. And then the BKB needs to come after that. You don't prioritize damage too much. It's just living for as long as possible.
Chu needs to be a little bit careful. Gets slowed down by the plasma field. He's taking quite a lot of damage. Blizzy going to try and help him out, but Ninja Boogie with one more nuke. His positioning has been really nice so far this game. Just right place, right time. Got that Doom kill. Now picks up that kill. Super solid.
Yeah. Super solid overall. It's just the Monkey King that's really keeping up with the rest of the cores on Mineski. You don't often see the Terrorblade being the lowest of the Mineski cores, but that is the case for right now.
He's still doing decently on CS, though I think a lot of that is he's moved into the jungle a little bit since the supports haven't been playing with him, so not quite as value as just getting every single lane creep like some of these other heroes.
Yeah, I think Moon's going hunting a little bit because he just picked up a haste rune, got his power treads delivered through to him.
He's actually rotating behind pretty deep on this mid lane. Might spot the Jakiro in a second, but okay, just decides against it. He's pretty tanky at this point of the game.
Yeah.
1600 HP with strength treads.
He was going for the easy pickoff. You know, if there was someone out of position, he would have been able to kill them, but don't want to spend too much time, right? You don't want to give this Medusa the chance to farm up this much.
Do you like magical on a hero like the Medusa? Do you think it's a good look for this Na'Vi team? Because I think we've been talking about a lot in this event. We've got some of these mid players that are super reliant on having the good matchup, the good overall game set up, and then you're kind of relying on them to win the game. And Deuce is a little bit different from that.
Yeah, I mean, you become what your team needs to build around, essentially. And I think where Crystallize really shows prominence is in these heroes that can have a big team fight presence as opposed to, you know, just farming up and having that kind of impact. You know, we remember his days of building the Faceless Void, and, you know, he's not in the meta right now.
Moon, okay, here comes the backstab. They want Misha. Quick Avatos combo, and that is going to be quick kill for Moon.
Yeah.
This is what they need from the Tiny. He needs to be #1 in net worth for the first little bit. He needs to get a fast Blink Dagger or Shadow Blade and just get kill after kill after kill.
I don't think they spotted that out. Maybe just got a glimpse of magical.
Yeah, they see him now, and there's not really any help on the way. They're going to toss him back. A little bit of lockdown. TP is coming in from the Doom. They've also got Crystallized here to try and punish, but Moon just going to try and escape. He does have a TP scroll, but looks like no real opportunity to use it, and it's all 5 heroes from Na'Vi rotating to punish this Tiny as they bring him down.
5 heroes only giving away 232 gold, but they are aware of that Observer Ward that was placed down.
Oh, all right, well, Boogie does manage to pick up this bouncer and taking a little bit of damage in return, but KP coming over just to help protect his captain. And bottom lane, Terrorblade moving into position to threaten somewhat, but Crystallize is already back down there to hold things out. So still very slow game in terms of tier 1 tower takedowns. We don't have the level 6 quite yet on the Shadow Shaman, so things might change once those Mass Serpent Wards get picked up. But for now, just quite a lot of farming. We had a couple of kills in the early game, but it slowed down somewhat. And I guess that's partially the nature of the two lineups. We've got the Deuce on the one side, got the Terrorblade on the other. They both just want to farm, really.
Yeah, I mean, compared to some of the bloodbath that we had in the earlier series, it's a little bit more subdued, but still 8 kills in 11 minutes or so. It's not too bad.
This is, I would say, some very, very tactical Dota, right? We saw Mineski, they made that little move top. They see the Jakiro TPing in. They just completely disengage. They go and look for something else. And both teams just trying to find any little opportunity, maybe a nicely timed rune, good smoke, to really start opening up this game. And even with all that, Mineski are actually up a 2K net worth lead.
Yeah, absolutely. So. And looking to try and extend that with this smoke gank coming through onto the tier 1 tower, just pressuring it through with Ajit. I think being mindful of if they were to rotate behind this tower or TP in.
Slightly greedy move from Mineski trying to defend top while simultaneously pushing out bottom. But KP's being pretty careful about what he does here. He knows that his team isn't really too interested in helping him out up here. He's just trying to slow down that push a little bit longer, I suspect.
I think he's just very confident in his ability to escape, right? He's got 433 movement speed with a maxed unstable current. He's got the drums built up as well. He would have just seen Crystallized there. Yeah.
He's super tanky, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, they don't want to use the Mass Serpent Wards for this. They pretty much already got it secured. Febby does get caught by this stun. Can they actually get him out of here? They don't interrupt the Shackle, but they do defend against the 2 cores. The Doom also coming out along with the Mass Serpent Wards being used, but are they actually going to get this kill?
Well, that's a lot committed.
That's so many ultimates used and absolutely nothing gained. Great play from Febby. He was in the right place at the right time. They thought that KP was completely alone, and I think that stun plus the spiked carapace saving his life. But they did, after that happened, I don't think they need to commit the ultimates like that.
No,
maybe if they ward trapped him.
Yeah, maybe just thought they might clip the edge of him. Say what you want about Febby and Mineski's decision around him, but he's always going to have some really good connection with KP. They're very good friends. And,
that's true, yeah.
You know, they're always going to have...
Comes across in interviews as well. They poke a bit of fun at each other.
Yeah.
Always good.
I did thrash both of them at table tennis, though, so...
Ah, okay. Yeah, you've got that going.
Yeah, they're better than me at Dota, but that's...
We got Australians taking over this event, right? We got Aussies on the panel. We got Aussies here casting. We got Aussies in game. Mineski have an Australian managing them as well.
Zach. Shout out to Zach.
Oz Dota Rising.
Exactly. He told me a little fact about KP as well. Apparently he's very clean. It doesn't matter where he is, but he washes his hands like 8 times a day, even when he's back home.
All right. That is an interesting fact. I don't really know what to make of that.
I mean, he's going to try and wipe his hands of Na'Vi in this game, basically.
Okay. I don't know if I got a prediction from you. Who do you think's got this first game?
I think it's Mineski in this game, just because of the draft. Not any favoritism.
Okay, all right. Ninja Boogie, a little bit of danger. Chu also connecting for this gank. Should be a pretty easy kill. The disarm making it a little bit slower, but Crystallize finishes it off. A little bit more progress towards his Echo Saber. But still, lots of just these little moves, little pickoffs, both teams sizing each other up. Waiting for those first couple of items, waiting for those first opportunities, and all right, this is really going to be it. Moon, he's got the 2 nukes maxed out. He's got his Blink Dagger. This is where the game starts being decided for Mineski. If he can take over and just start getting a ton of kills, really make Na'Vi feel afraid to move out on the map.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not going to be easy to burst Blizzy, and even more wisely, he's hiding beneath this tier 2 tower in the bot lane, so doesn't want to get caught out. Febby rotating out behind him, but I think Na'Vi is very happy with this, right? They want the time for this Medusa to come online, to get those key first items to both dodge the physical damage and make sure he's not getting stunned. So he wants to have that BKB up online.
The Doom's buying a Midas as well. So to me, that seems to say that Na'Vi feel pretty confident if this game happens to go late. Is that your read on this game as well?
I mean, just based off how the first 14.5 minutes have gone, they're saying, right, well, they seem pretty happy to not push this level of aggression.
Okay, Misha, maybe in a little bit of danger. Okay, nice spiked Carapace running into the Ice Path intentionally, but no real follow-up. They don't want to dive in deep onto that high ground. A little bit of a lack of vision up the hill, so don't know exactly what they're fighting into, and Mineski just being a bit more cautious. We haven't seen a full 5-on-5 team fight, so I think it's a little bit difficult to size up exactly how that would play out, and I don't even know if that's going to be happening with the way that Na'Vi are just constantly posturing, shoving out the lanes with their supports, and we have this pretty standard split of the Dire taking over the Radiant jungle, and the Radiant somewhat taking over the Dire jungle. Both teams getting good farm.
Yeah, absolutely, and we've got the Yasha build completed here onto this Terrorblade, as well as the Midas being picked up by the Doom. So some of the damage starting to increase on both sides and the farming potential, but still not quite happy to take these initiations just yet.
How long can the Terrorblade get away without a BKB this game?
Longer than the Medusa, in my opinion.
Okay. So is he going to get, do you think it's like Manta next, and then maybe even like look towards a Scotty or a Butterfly or something?
The typical way that he builds it is the Manta into the Scotty, even Boots of Travels and Lincolns, and I think Lincolns is a pretty good item here.
Oh, all right, Macropyre coming out. This is some damage. They are going to look to focus down Ninja Boogie first since he is the saving support. They also trap him inside of the Mass Serpent Wards. Lots of ultimates committed from Na'Vi, but it's only the 1 kill, and Crystallize is actually looking for a little bit more, just scouting in the trees, though now perhaps a bit dangerous to actually take a fight after everything committed, but they are holding on to their spot.
Yeah, there is a lot committed, and now that you don't have the threat of the Mass Serpent Wards actually pushing forward into a tower. Ajit wasn't part of that team fight at any big deal, but...
Oh, they're waiting Febby with the spiked Carapace. They could hear it crystallize up in the trees, and they will easily bring him down. That is also a dominating streak ended. And
they've got the siege creep here. If they did want to continue this push, maybe just protect it a little bit. Looks like Febby's happy to stay here for a little bit, tank up some of the damage, get a bit more.
All right, yeah, wants one more siege creep hit on that tower. Sure, he's got the base regen to do that. No problem. I think they would stick around if not for the lack of... they're lacking a little bit of vision in this Radiant jungle, so difficult to feel confident when Na'Vi could just catch you.
Rotate
the Monkey King
any direction.
Yeah, the Monkey King TPs onto the shrine, prevents your retreat, something like that. And the Jakiro still just continuing to slow this game down, spamming the Macropyres on the waves. But
I wonder if they're going to put something onto this this high ground below the tier 2 tower in the bot lane. You know, just because you're up against a Monkey King.
Okay, well, we were wondering when this is going to happen, and I think it's somewhat of an inevitability. Moon finally finding a pick off with his Blink Dagger, but is he going to get out of here with his life? Still 4 seconds to go, and Blizzy has already found him. There's the Doom coming in, and Mineski, they're not even looking to help him. They're just trying to find kills elsewhere on the map. He is going to get run down here. No chance he escapes from the Doom. It's just whether or not Mineski can find something out of this being used. And they are kind of setting up for this bottom tier 2 tower.
Yeah, absolutely. Just so much more farm acceleration now on the Razor with that AoE from the Unstable Current. You even got the Metamorphosis popped by this Terrorblade, doing a lot of damage onto this tower and forcing the Glyph out.
Na'Vi still without, despite not having the Doom, they are looking for this fight. Chu TP's in, gonna try and pincer them somewhat. They've also got the Doom already up onto the high ground. He gets rooted, getting somewhat isolated away from his team. The Shrine is helping to keep him alive a little bit longer, but Na'Vi, they just don't have everybody here just yet. Magical runs forward, but needs to be careful. KP's got quite a lot of stolen damage. Crystallize does have his ultimate available. Some nice synergy there with the Dusa ultimate potentially, but Mineski just poking and prodding, and they can get their Tiny back over here quite soon.
Yeah, still about 10-15 seconds on this Metamorphosis, so I'm sure he'll try and push the tower, or maybe happy to just retreat for a little bit. That Doom living for so long as well is kind of counterintuitive as well, right? Because you've got the static link on him, you're just stealing more and more damage on this really farmed KP. You know, he's the highest net worth on the Dire side, so he's the one that you want doing a lot of this damage.
Yeah, it makes the fight scary after that, right? The fact that your Doom survived for such a long time.
Yeah, but the Dusa actually starting to creep a little bit more and more ahead. You know, she's got the farming items. She's up about 1,500 gold ahead of the rest of Mineski's cause, so you'd be pretty happy with how things are going so far if you're magical, but we can just see how much neutrals and ancients are being picked up by her. So proficient at doing that with the split shot. Yeah,
just been chilling, and now that she has the Manta, can keep sending it out to get the lane creeps and continue farming up your neutrals. Play nice and safe. Do you like the decision to go for the Hurricane Pike next? And yeah, as we could see, it's pretty much all just chilling in the jungle, bouncing back and forth on the Radiant side of the map.
Absolutely. I think the Hurricane Pike is a little bit necessary just to try and create some of that space away from the Razor in particular.
You wish that your supports could get a Force Staff for you instead of having to buy the Pike yourself, though, right? I think that's the big thing. Because the Pike's not really going to accelerate your farm that much.
I mean, and even though actually initiation, again.
Yep, damage on Crystallize, still pretty tanky with that Echo Save. You're going to turn around and try and fight somewhat, but Boogie put in the hurt on him. They do get the stun out, but it's only onto one, and Moon just going to disengage backwards there. Thinking about this fight, but not willing to engage up that choke point into the high ground and through the Magpie, especially without their Terrorblade there.
Ajit happy to just sit on this bottom bounty rune. Look to pick it up very, very shortly.
Febby really wants this bounty. Is it going to be worth his life for it? He does manage to grab it, but looking like he's dead. Boogie thinking about saving him, does go for the ultimate pretty much right away. They do get a nice ward trap, though. Boogie just managing to get through that as Moon is actually somewhat isolated in the river. They get the toss back up onto the high ground. Crystallize just going to go for the ultimate, though. That might be exactly where he wants to be. Still taking quite a lot of damage. KP draining him out. And Moon, he hasn't even died just yet. They let him get off another avalanche. They're trying to chase up onto the high ground to save the Monkey King, and they don't even bother killing the Tiny. Finally, Moon will go down. We have a buyback from the Oracle as it looks like Razor will just barely survive this Doom. Nicely played by Boogie.
And those Purifying Flames just making him a little bit more sustainable in these team fights, and just committing the Doom that late into the team fight as well. And even now, look at this, farming up the Shadow Shaman wards. A little bit extra for the Terrorblade, always pretty welcome.
It looked so good having the Tiny caught in the river, but as soon as he threw the Monkey King away, they lost all of their damage. He was in a super compromised position, and I feel as though Na'Vi almost panicked a little bit. They were like, oh no, we have to go save our Monkey King. Oh no, we have to still finish off this Tiny kill.
Yeah.
And it really just became a super split fight after that.
So I thought Moon was dead to rights when he was caught like on the wrong side of the cliff, 4-1.
Yeah, and it's such a long section of cliff as well, right, between those two ramps. So very, very difficult to do anything.
Absolutely. But I believe we have the Manta style picked up now on Ajit, so even more tower taking potential. Might be looking to pick off this Jakiro.
Yeah, he's pump faking. He's threatening with the Ice Path, keeping KP on his toes. Febby once again scouting around a little bit. Is just going for the Spirit Vessel here. Pretty nice against all of the Na'Vi cores, in fact. So makes a lot of sense.
I think particularly what this TB is going to look to build into next is the Skadi, just for that pure stats. Like, he just needs to survive for as long as possible right now, because I think in an ideal world, Na'Vi wants that Doom to go on to Terrorblade.
Somewhat of an awkward engagement. Blizzy runs forward out of the trees, taking a lot of damage. Crystallized there to back him up. Gets out a nice Boundless Strike as well. The Jakiro helping him out. They do have the lockdown onto the Razor. Can they keep KP alive? Boogie does have that false promise. Gets him out of the shackle, and Moon is actually jumping in, looking for a little bit more. The Stone Gate's coming out, trying to protect their captain. Misha is going to be, will be brought down, but they're looking towards Moon. He won't look at the Medusa, but he's just getting punched in the back, and they do lose Ajit a little bit of time up on the high ground. He got hit by the Stone Gaze. Crystallized still inside of his ultimate, so he's got plenty of armor, but it finally fades now as Ajit starts to lay in with the auto attacks. Choose the first target. Can they finish him off? They will manage to do so, but they've also lost 2 cores, and Mineski forced to run away here. Crystallized still hot on pursuit. Can they actually get any more kills? Looks like perhaps not.
Couple seconds left on the Boundless if they did decide to chase, but looks like they're going to disengage for now.
Yeah, still have to show a little bit of respect to the Terrorblade.
Yeah, the TB, when that fight was just starting to happen, he had about 10 seconds left on the Metamorphosis cooldown, so couldn't get right in there into the thick of things. And that was the difference, you know, Moon being picked off relatively earlier on before he can get off that second combo.
It feels as though Moon just traded his life for the Jakiro, and that really, to me, does not seem very worth it. Now Febby in a little bit of danger, making the cute play, but Blizzy just finds him out straight away and brings him down.
It'd be very easy for them to take this tier 1 tower. A few rotations coming through, but all for naught.
And I don't know, it seems like Mineski losing a little bit of momentum here. The Tiny, after an amazing start, now solidly middle of the net worth, really. This is kind of my problem sometimes with core Tiny. I'm a little bit better with mid Tiny than I am with offlane Tiny, but if you're in a situation where you're just not snowballing on kills, he's 2 and 4, what do you actually do as a hero?
Well, I think the way that Mineski do things is that they prioritize a lot more onto KP than they did in the past, right? So you always want to make sure that he has some semblance of farm, and he had a very strong early game. You know, we've seen in other series that they've taken out throughout this entire tournament that, you know, KP's been at the very, very top of the net worth playing something like the Nature's Prophet in that off lane. So I think they just have a lot of faith in the entire squad, but it's what's worked for them, right? They're at guaranteed top 3 here at ESL One Mumbai, and so why not continue with what's worked so far?
Do you think that the Razor can carry this game in this situation?
Against a Deucer, it's going to be a lot more difficult than, you know, in previous. But
you can't just run in, right?
No, exactly. And I think you might need to wait, for example, for the Skadi to come online for the Terrorblade. He's about 2,500 gold or so away, but looks like Na'Vi isn't happy to let that happen. You know, they've got the first few key items that they want for their cause. They've even picked up the Eagle Song onto the Medusa at level 18 now. Getting closer and closer to completing that butterfly. So very important to see if they're able to catch out someone, but looks like that smoke didn't.
I love that he hasn't actually finished the entire pike. I love that he's just gone for the Force Staff, and now he's building the Butterfly. Because Butterfly is like by far the highest damage item on Dusa, and the Force Staff does, I would say, the vast majority of what the full pike would be doing for you in this game. So I think this is a really smart way to build. Even though it looks a little bit weird to see Dusa just running around with the Force Staff in her inventory, but it's what she needs.
Exactly, and I'm really liking the way Mineski are doing this. They're wanting to secure this high ground area around the Radiant Shrine, make sure there's no rotations coming through. They've dropped down an Observer Ward in a bit of an unconventional position. They've dewarded, they've taken out a Tier 1 tower while not losing really too much of anything. Yes, they are pushing the Tier 1 tower at bot, but in that meantime, they might be able to pressure this Tier 2.
Mineski are playing super disciplined this game. That's the one thing I will say. They don't fight in areas that they don't have vision. They make sure to secure high grounds before they try and push into any kind of an area. And I do think that's helping to keep them in this game a little bit, though. Slight disadvantage now, and still being very careful about taking any team fights. Just they come forward, they poke, they prod, they get the objective that they were looking for, and then back up to continue securing more items. But like you've been saying, this Dusa is just slowly but surely getting further and further ahead of the cores on the Mineski side.
And it just means that, you know, a single pickoff could be absolutely huge for Mineski. Doesn't have enough for the buyback right now on the Dusa, and she's queued up the BKB as well. So really wants to be that huge teamfight presence. I think around 30 minutes, that's when the Roshan's going to be going for. That's when the BKB is going to be up online. Maybe grab a couple of the banner wins, although they're even just going for the Roshan right now.
Yeah, they're looking to force something. Master Upperward's getting deployed. Febby heading in, trying to scout things out a little bit, but needs to be careful. There are sentries down here. Still moving into possession are Mineski, and Febby getting caught out. He gets hexed up. Boogie, is he actually willing to save the Nyx Assassin? He will do it, but that means they do not have a false promise for anybody else in this fight. Magical still working on the Roshan, taking a little bit of damage. Blizzy also helping to tank it up, but it's not falling that quickly, and now Ajit is here. Does he have the full Eye of Skadi completed? He does. This is a very scary Terrorblade for this fight, but he still has to be wary of the Doom, though. Blizzy, no initiation item for him just yet. It's just pop BKB and run at somebody.
Yeah. They have no way of really getting onto the backlines of Na'Vi, so that's something Mineski are being very careful of. They're just trying to poke and prod, but it feels like with this Mystic Snake, with some of the counter initiation from Na'Vi, they're just able to do so much more because Moon's been bursted many, many times in these team fights.
Yeah. I think Na'Vi are being... They're showing Mineski some respect. They know that if they commit too hard for this, they were losing a little bit of mana on the Dusa. And also, buybacks are kind of a complete mystery at this point, right? You don't know who's got what. You doom the wrong target, and he buys back into the game. That could completely lose you this fight, lose you the Roshan, and from that, potentially lose you the game. Though Mineski still feeling pretty brave. They've still got this ward up on the high ground, so
send in Boogie
they will
first.
smoke up.
so that it's only a position 5 that goes down. If
he doesn't have his ultimate, so not a huge deal. And they do actually find out Chu. That's going to start the fight. They bring down the Shadow Shaman very quickly. He does have a buyback available. They now get the Doom over onto the Razor. BKB popped along with the Stone Gaze from the Medusa. They're trying to run down KP, but he's still tanking up a decent amount. Ajit not going to pop the Metamorphosis. Believes that KP is just straight up dead and will disengage, though they're still thinking about a Regoose here. KP almost brought down. They've also lost the secondary support, and now it's trouble for the Medusa as they pop the Metamorphosis. She took the wrong path around on this fight, but still quite tanky. Butterfly helping out. Blizzy jumps in, gets a 3-man stomp, but the toss back from Moon. They will catch onto Magical. They bring him down to Scotty, slowing down Blizzy, and that is going to be the end of this fight. And Mineski, still with so much duration on this Metamorphosis, find themselves right on Navi's doorstep.
And a single melee creep is still with them, so they're able to push into this tier 3. No backdoor protection. This will be a lane of racks.
No glyph either.
Oh, it's a lot committed. They're probably going to be able to take this, even rotate back towards that Roche pit.
And we've seen the power of the Terrorblade earlier in this event, and feeling very, very similar in this situation. You take a bad fight against TB when he's got his Manta, when he's got the Metamorphosis right outside your base, and, well, there you go. And yeah, Ajit heads straight into the Roshan pit. They're also looking to clean this up. Mineski taking full advantage of that huge teamfight win. And I think so much of that is just that ward that they've still got on the high ground. They had complete control over that area and started the fight the way that they really wanted to.
Yeah, well, there's a few seconds until at least 4 of Na'Vi are going to be back online. Another 10 seconds until this
another Avatos combo from Moon.
Yeah, just picking off Chu once again. And this will be Roshan going down in about 3, 2, 1, a half, and 0.
A quarter.
Yeah.
Okay, so they've got the Aegis on the TB. He's got another. He just finished the Scotty before that previous fight, and now he's got another 3K gold, picking up an Eagle Song, working his way towards a Butterfly.
Yeah. Just grabbing a few of the bounty runes here.
Yeah.
Oh, you might have seen Crystallize jumping between those trees, but it doesn't look like they're happy to engage right now. Oh, popping the Shadow Blade actually.
I don't know if they're in any kind of a position to try and bait him, though. Everybody else is over on the other side of the map. So, all right. Na'Vi, they've stabilized somewhat, but now down by 8K gold. And Febi's actually on the hunt, looking towards Crystallize, but he's not sticking around too long. Just wants to push out that wave and then keep on rolling. Is Febi going to say hello? His Vendetta's just about to wear out. Might try and force some scared TPs or something. Offers him the... All right, Febi. He knows what the crowd wants. We know what he wants. He wants that MVP.
Hashtag MVP.
Yeah, so the more clip-worthy moments that he gives us, I think the more likely that is for him. But we'll see. Got to see these upcoming team fights. Got to see the spiked Carapace usage. And it's going to be very important.
Yeah. And we were talking backstage about, like, what sort of mental impact it has to be in a position like Febi is, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's standing in for Mineski after just being removed from the team. There's nothing really.
There's nothing holding him back, right?
Yeah.
He knows that he's not going to, like, he's not playing with them in the next tournament.
Yeah.
That is 100% guaranteed.
Oh, they found Crystallize.
Yep, they found him up on the high ground. He does manage to jump down. They're tossing Febi in on top of him. Let's get stunned up, broken, tries to dodge the stun. Dodges the damage, but will still be brought down nice and easy. And Moon,
he's very
a little bit of a slow start. Boogie trying to get some wards down, but does just evade into the fog.
Oh, Ajit.
Yeah, Terrorblade just charging at Chu here. They are channeling up the Fortune's End, so Chu in a little bit of trouble. The rest of the team quite far away, but Moon closing the gap, and Chu, is he actually going to be able to make it inside of the base? They're going to toss forward once again. It's KP straight into the 2 supports. There's no lane of racks here, no tower to protect them, and with 3 heroes dead, Mineski will just poke and prod and get out that buyback from the Shaman.
Yeah, forcing the buyback from the Shaman is a very big deal, right? You can.
This is clinical.
Turn it around. It is clinical. You know, it felt like. I mean, just have a look at the win percentage. It was about 65% for Na'Vi just 5 minutes ago, and after that big team fight, it was a huge drop, and the swing just going in the favor of Mineski.
Do you feel like Mineski, have they made any real mistakes this game, to your mind? I'm just trying to think back over over how things have gone so far.
I think maybe Moon dying a little bit too much in the mid lane.
That's true.
He was 2 and 4 at one.
Yeah, he had that. He had the haste, and they like got the kill, ran at the Dusa, and then he died. That's true.
Yeah, even picking up the Lotus Orb now to be able to protect this TB even more. Has the Butterfly too, so he's popping, sieging onto this high ground with his illusions.
Still has 2 minutes left to go on the Aegis. They do need to be a bit careful about disengaging once all of this wears out, but for now, Mineski just trying to siege at this tower 100%. They're playing nice and defensively, not grouping up. No opportunities for two-man Boundless Strike or two-man Ice Path, anything like that. They're also pushing bottom at the same time, splitting up Na'Vi somewhat. The Medusa can only be in one of these two lanes, and Mineski know that. So just two-pronged attack from them. One more hit to finish off this tower. Ajit, a little bit afraid of committing, perhaps. Only has a little bit left of the Metamorphosis, about a quarter duration, but we'll take a few more free pot shots. Could have maybe gone for the range drags instead of the melee, but...
Yeah, I think if there was a time to commit, it was then, because by the time the meta's up now one more time, the Aegis is going to expire, so you don't have your safety net there. So if they were going to go for something, it would have to have been right now, but pretty happy to just take down the tier 3 in mid, and look how low the one in bot lane is as well, only at a quarter HP.
And this is also a great play from Mineski. They retreat. They know that Na'Vi are thinking to themselves, okay, well, the Metamorphosis is down, and the Aegis isn't up for too much longer, so maybe we have a little bit of an opportunity here. But they just back up, and they just sit right on top of these wards and wait to see if Na'Vi are going to try and smoke out of the base, make any kind of a play. And if they try and go out and deward or get any kind of vision, they're just immediately going to kill those supports. The Na'Vi are so blind. This game is so scary if you're Na'Vi at the moment. You can only see your base and where that creep wave top is giving you a little bit of vision. And other than that, Mineski could be anywhere.
Yeah. And they've got really good vision themselves, Mineski. You know, again, unconventional positioning. You typically don't put the Observer Ward down here to the left of the Radiant Tri-Camp area. Although a smoke coming out, trying to catch out someone from Mineski. If it was going to be anyone, it would be Moon. But
yeah, Moon breaks part of the smoke. So Chu and Blizzy going to split off from the team. They need to be careful about doing this. Moon's eager for
popping their own smoke as well on Febby and Ninja Boogie. Ajit going to come in behind them, but it's still 20 seconds or so until that meta is back online.
But it could come up during this fight, so I think Mineski's still thinking about it. Moon, what's he seen? He pops the BKB, just wants Misha. He will run away from his team, knows that he's 100% dead. Down he goes. And 45 seconds without the Jakiro.
Yeah, creeps pushing in top as well as mid, so if they were wanting to take something, they could. You know, that bot tier 3 tower getting quite low, but it's just the illusion for now.
It feels so hard to play against Mineski at the moment. They know exactly what... It seems like they know exactly what Na'Vi is thinking. They know exactly what Navi's potential plays are, and they're just one step ahead of them every time. They're shutting down the smokes, they're shutting down any attempt at Roshan, and Na'Vi just, I guess, have to sit in their base and hope this Medusa does what it was picked to do, which is hopefully win them that late game.
It feels like they've really done their homework, right? They've got set roles for everyone on their team. The initiation in these team fights is Moon, or it's him tossing in KP. KP just needs to live for as long as possible, as well as enable this TB. And so much faith is being put onto Ajit to make sure that he's able to carry his entire team. He's got another item flying out to him. It's that BKB.
This is going to be really scary to deal with. Dusa still a ways away from her next big power spike, which I would say is the level 25, even more than her next item.
Yep.
They are getting there. Maybe they consider giving her the tome at 40 minutes, just to speed that up a little bit, though Crystallize doesn't even have his level 3 ultimate just yet. Febby running forward into some sentries, actually a little bit deep, but this could force the fight. Moon jumps in straight on top of Crystallize. He's taking big damage, and they toss back onto Blizzy as well. Can't find a good target. Magical, it's isolated. He does just barely manage to break the static link, getting away from KP, turning around and doing a little bit of damage. It's ultimates thrown in both directions, but no real kills. And Mineski, what are they going to do now?
I'd say more ultimates thrown from Na'Vi's end. They've still got all 5 on Mineski now. And they've even got the Metamorphosis online. BKB now picked up. 5 seconds until that Manta style can be used. They'll be sieging high ground very, very shortly.
Yeah, Blizzy does have the blink now, so could find some kind of a Blink Doom opportunity, but can they actually bring down Ajit? That's the question. Ninja Boogie's there with the save, and I think they just kite backwards now as they also see the Wukong's command coming out. Crystallize is just going to chase forward. They 100% have to kill this Terrorblade, or the fight's going to turn out really, really badly for them. And you can see Ajit, he's already turning back around, looking for the fight. Blizzy's the one caught out, and the rest of this team just has to retreat. Boogie was waiting for that Doom. Mineski, once again, one step ahead.
That power of information that they just have. They knew exactly where they could be approaching from.
Oh, they tried for the toss back, but unfortunately jumped straight into the ice path. The rest of Mineski coming over now. Ajit still very strong. Magical, what can he do? He pops the BKB. They start auto-attacking into Moon, but KP's there with the Link, making it difficult for Magical to disengage, and he's really not going to do any damage with this full Link duration going. Moon instead just jumps onto Chu, brings him down, and Mineski looking towards one more lane of racks. The Glyph is going to defend it for a little bit. And they do now have a BKB up on the Monkey King. But what can Crystallize actually do in these fights? They're going to jump in on top of Ajit. Blizzy also buying back. They're making their bid right now. Na'Vi, this is do or die for them. Can they stop the Sunder? They won't be able to. Ajit survives, brings down Blizzy one more time. And Mineski just looking like one more day at the office for them as they bring down a secondary lane of racks. Just kill after kill after kill.
Magical's doing nothing. He's had all of his damage drained.
Yeah.
Sure, he can pop his ultimate, but they just look away, take the ranged racks, and GG is called by Na'Vi. Clinical game one.
Absolutely clinical Dota.
And look at this, like we talk about taking some of the emotions out of Dota. Complete stone faces on all of Mineski. And
yeah.
KP goes bonkers when he wins games, so that shows how focused they are.
Yeah, they came in here with a plan, and I think they executed it pretty much perfectly.
Yeah.
It looked a little bit slow for Moon, maybe out of the gate. He got that Blink Dagger, and it didn't immediately do all that much. But again, it's the discipline, the patience, great execution, and they saw that one opportunity when they went for the fight around the Roshan.
Yep.
Got straight into a lane of racks, and it felt like at that point, Na'Vi were just unsure about what was happening in that game.
On the back foot, basically, the entire time.
100%.
It just created so much space for Ajit to get those key items on the Terrorblade. He knew when his power spikes were, and they exploited them to perfection.
Yeah, the Terrorblade, we haven't seen him that much this event, but every time it's been picked, it has looked super duper solid.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely times when you can pick it, right? Previously, I think it was in response to a Spectre, so obviously very, very useful to use the Reflection, just get so much extra damage throughout these team fights. And then, again, they needed a real win condition because up until then, they hadn't picked a game ender.
That's true.
And that's what the Terrorblade exactly was for them.
Do you like the matchup against the Medusa? Do you think that's part of it this game as well for them? They see the Medusa pick come out and think that, okay, well, maybe it's time for Terrorblade?
I think it's just, again, going back to the timings. Terrorblade has a different timing to Medusa, and it felt like both teams were happy to farm for the amount that they did, but Mineski obviously taking the better end of it. But yeah, that's it for us. We're going to throw back to the panel now and see what they think.
Yes, thank you very much. We also welcome a special guest to our panel. We've got Lord Crowley along us.
Hello.
You've been upgraded. Did you know that?
Why?
Well, because you started the week off as Mr. Crowley, and then by kind of Wednesday you were Sir Crowley, and now we've made you a Lord.
I don't mind.
You're just getting bigger and bigger every day.
You know what's next?
Yeah, you know what's next? Prince Crowley.
And after that, King Crowley? Ooh, that's a nice ring to it.
It's different out here. The Maharaja is below the prince.
Okay, but King Crowley still sounds sick. Yo, King Crowley. Get it.
How are you doing anyway?
If I qualify to a major or something, then I'll upgrade from Mr. to
That sounds about right. That sounds about right. How are you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Disappointed, obviously, to go out of the tournament, but it's great to be playing in front of a home crowd, right?
Yeah, like it was my first time experiencing such a crowd in Mumbai, so it was pretty fun.
That's pretty cool. What did you make of that last game?
Last game, I thought Na'Vi had it, but watching how Mineski kite the Medusa is something very, very good. Nice to see, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jen. So, in a way, when you look at the first 20 minutes, Cap, you're thinking, all right, this looks all right. It's okay. It's not too bad. But there was kind of an inevitability about Mineski.
Yeah, when we were back in the green room and Crowley said that he felt like Na'Vi was winning, I totally agreed with him. I thought that like the way Na'Vi were playing such protective four protect ones where they were just always sort of like in a semicircle around their Medusa. It felt like Mineski was always looking for fights, but would run into or looking for a pickoff, and instead they would run into some sort of high ground situation where a Monkey King's up on the trees and Na'Vi already set up for a team fight. That just happened so many times.
I feel like the monkey fell off in the game in between, like the Tiny and the Nyx were continuously hunting him, whereas Na'Vi had to worry about 3 heroes that game, like Razor and TB both, and like I forgot the other hero, but so basically they were just they had to worry about Medusa and they could just doom him. So
yeah, it felt like a it felt like a really hard Monkey King game. It felt like I couldn't really think of a better hero, to be honest, but it, like, the combination of Core Tiny and Nyx Assassin, like, you can't get any farm, because Monkey King's entire way to farm is being able to split push, and he jumps down onto these trees. That's a perfect opportunity for a Tiny or Nyx to catch you out.
Yeah,
He just wanted to make space, I feel, for the Medusa. So he was just fighting around with 2 items, and it doesn't go well sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and any farm he did seem to get just seemed to be taken away as well. Like Moon started off the fight tossing in Razor. It was like, okay, I'm going to static link either the monkey or I'm just going to find anyone else who's a core that's nearby. But it was mainly the monkey. So Crystallize, he has such a great influence. Like I think he was 6-0 on the monkey early on, and then just, yeah, he fell away once they worked out how to take the 5-man fight. You're talking perfectly, like the 4 protect 1, like we make sure Crystallize, we play inside the Wukong, we play inside of our strength. But yeah, Mineski, this is why I think they're such a great team here. They show that ability to adapt during the game and work out where the weakness is and how to actually exploit it.
Certainly did. Just a quick note for Magical. Nothing wrong with what he did, just can't carry everything, can he?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't his fault, for sure. He was actually farming very well for himself, but it felt like more of maybe a bit of a draft issue. I mean, even the fact that they were able to hold out that long and keep the game even, or even at times they were actually up in net worth, and still just like one bad team fight, it's all it takes for the game to pretty much be over. That's all it took, was Mineski beating you once. Like, that says a lot about the difference in what the drafting perspective is, because Na'Vi, on their hand, they have to win so many fights to be able to win that game.
Terrorblade? Haven't seen a huge amount of successful Terrorblades. Mr. Crowley, what do you make of this Terrorblade play in this game? Is it just a good Terrorblade game?
I think he had a lot of like front line in his team to like kite. They just have to kite the Stone Gaze and they can burst the Medusa. So they walk in with the Nyx and Tiny throwing people here and there, and they just kite it really well.
How annoying is Tiny right now to play against?
What?
How annoying is Tiny to play against?
If it's a core and he has a good start, it's not fun playing a support, I'll tell you that. And if you're playing him as support, it's fun throwing people back here and there. Especially in front of a crowd when they just make noise for the randomest tosses ever, but so it's fine.
That's good. Good fun when you're playing him, not when you're playing against him. Right, we're going to take a break here at ESL One Mumbai. Don't go too far away, though. Game 2 just around the corner. A few things for Na'Vi to think about as they head towards that second game, and we'll find out whether they have the answer to draw level at 1-1 when we come back.
Magical, they bring him down to Scotty, slowing down Blizzy, been on top of Ajit. Blizzy also buying back. They're making their bid right now. Na'Vi, this is do or die for them. Can they stop the Sunder? They won't be able to. Ajit survives, brings down Blizzy one more time.